This is Harry Burns.
My nostalgic pick today is the 1989 comedy romantic drama When Harry Met Sally. The film is filled with funny, memorable moments that never get old. So let's get this thing started.
I have it all figured out. It's an 18-hour trip, which breaks down into 6 shifts of 3 hours each.
Riding in a car with someone you just met? Well, that's exactly how Harry and Sally meet. And on this 18-hour drive, there are a lot of hilarious moments. But none is funnier than when Harry goes into why males and females can never be friends.
Is that men and women can't be friends because the sex part always gets in the way.
This conversation about how sex would get in the way of a man and woman's friendship is threaded through the entire film. It makes me wonder if later, when they become friends, if this is why they don't sleep together for so long.
So you're saying that a man can be friends with a woman he finds unattractive?
No, you pretty much want to nail them too.
Fine. It's great. I was just walking by and I thought it was you, and there it is. It's you.
Yeah, it was.
The second time Harry and Sally meet is at the airport 5 years later. And you can say it's a little awkward, to say the least.
Harry and I, we lived in the same building.
Harry then decides to be a little creepy. There are once again some funny moments in the back and forth conversation between Harry and Sally, which eventually leads back to the question, can men and women just be friends?
Just friends.
I thought you didn't believe men and women could be friends.
So where does it leave us?
Harry, goodbye.
I wrote up 9 extra floors just to keep talking to her.
9 extra floors.
Let's face it, the old couple segments are adorable. There's just something sweet about seeing people together that are truly meant to be. These parts were played by actors, not real couples. But these are based off of real-life couples' stories, which makes these segments just that much better.
Like it's the institution, like it's nothing personal, just something she's been thinking about in a casual way.
You're saying Mr. Zero knew you were getting a divorce a week before you did?
Mr. Zero, no. I knew the whole time that even though we were happy, it was just an illusion, and that one day she would kick the shit out of me.
The foundation of Harry's character comes from Rob Reiner himself. You know, that one guy from the All in the Family show who would go on to direct classics like This Is Spinal Tap, Stand By Me, and The Princess Bride. Yeah, that guy. He also directed this film, and it's his stories about his own life that inspired the Harry character. Not only that, Nora Ephron, the writer of this movie, would also structure most of the movie's dialogue off of the real-life friendship between Rob Reiner and Billy Crystal. Another 5 years have passed, and Harry and Sally meet for the third time, this time in a library. And instead of talking about whether men and women can become friends, this time they actually become friends, helping each other get through each other's divorces. And by becoming each other's support system, Harry and Sally don't just become friends, they become best friends, who tell each other every little thing.
Why? Most women at one time or another have faked it.
Well, they haven't faked it with me.
The Kate's Deli scene is known as one of the best comedy scenes ever. How it came about is because Billy Crystal felt the film was focusing too much on his character. That's when writer Nora Ephron came up with the idea, and so the iconic scene was born.
Oh, God. Oh, yeah, right there.
In the restaurant hangs the sign, Where Harry Met Sally. Hope you have what she had. Enjoy. Referencing the line delivered by Rob Reiner's mom in the film.
I'll have what she's having.
When people look back at When Harry Met Sally today, my guess is the soundtrack is not one of the first things that comes to mind. But it's really good, and I can't imagine the film without it. The soundtrack features Harry Connick Jr., And the movie would have a few different classic artists such as Louis Armstrong and Frank Sinatra, giving the album a jazzy pop kind of feel to it. The album would even reach #1 on a jazz chart and went on to sell 2 million copies. And I think it deserves its double platinum selling status. I already talked about the foundation of the Harry character, so what about Sally? Well, Nora, for the Sally character, would use several of her own personal friends as inspiration. So that means both Harry and Sally are inspired by real people, which is probably why their characters are so relatable. Something that Nora was very good at. And she would go on to write several movies with many great relatable characters.
Are you comfortable?
Sure.
Harry and Sally finally sleep together, and by their two different face expressions they have, tells you that Harry and Sally are both feeling different emotions about it. And I think, what the heck is wrong with Harry? He should be feeling the way Sally is. I mean, there's no one he connects with better. Shouldn't being with Sally make sense to him? But no, Harry decides to take a different route.
Where are you going?
I gotta go.
Fine.
Fine.
He couldn't possibly make things worse, could he?
I mean, right?
Well, actually, he does make it worse.
We just never should have done it.
I couldn't agree more.
And worse.
What are you saying? You took pity on me?
No, I was.
Fuck you!
Harry.
Harry, of course, starts to miss Sally, and his heart starts to ache. That's when Harry finally comes to his senses and realizes he loves Sally more than just a friend. So, what does he do next? Well, he does what every man does when he realizes this in an 80s and 90s movie. When Harry Met Sally is known as a rom-com classic. Meg Ryan and Billy Crystal's chemistry feels natural on camera and is very hard to beat. Not only that, with a spectacular soundtrack, director, and writer, this film is loaded with mega talent. And for me, Billy Crystal is one of my top 5 favorite actors of all time. I love every single one of his movies through the 80s and 90s. And When Harry Met Sally is one of the top movies on my list.
3 months later, we got married.
It only took 3 months.
12 years and 3 months.